I feel like I'm a captive in my own home because of this crazy pandemic we're all in, and it's making me want to punch things more than ever. And with all the negative feedback around the current state of the season, players are even more on edge. So how do we remedy the situation we find ourselves in? Well, in the famous words of Ron Swanson, it could use a swift punch to the face. You see Greg? You punch it in the face. That primeval that just spawned? Punch it in the face. And if it's bigger than you, well then you just punch it in the... What's up, YouTube? I go by Kaos, Serene Kaos, and we're going to be looking at easily one of the strongest builds in the current sandbox right now. 1-2 punch with top tree Arc Strider. Now, I've been playing with this build for a couple weeks, and oh lordy, this build melts. It's like having Fist of Havoc, but you're not a Crayon Eater. Now, there's two ways you can go about it when you're in a Fireteam and a solo variant. Now, I know some of you already understand the core concept of this build from previous seasons, but this season, boys and girls, it's extra special. And I want to be thorough to give this build the proper respect it deserves and to make sure all of you become the master race hunters you all deserve to be. So let's just jump right into it. You can't call this a 1-2 punch build without having the actual 1-2 punch perk. And it states, hitting an enemy with every pellet and a shot increases melee damage for a short duration. Then you combine that with the Way of the Warrior and the synergy begins. So your entire focus is to build Combination Blow by killing enemies using your melee ability. And when you're doing this, you're also triggering health regeneration and increasing your melee damage temporarily. Start by using Gambler's Dodge with Deadly Reach while killing an enemy. Doing this not only effectively increases your melee range, but also recharges your melee attack through Combat Flow. You then get a very generous 19 seconds until your buff wears off. You repeat and stack this 3 times, each time building your melee damage output. This is where 1-2 punch comes in. Once you've built up your ×3 stack, you pop a shotgun slug, proccing 1-2 punch and quickly melee afterwards. At this point, you should start to see where the power really starts to creep in. Then we spice things up with Liar's Handshake, and that using your arc melee ability or being hit by a melee will give you an extremely powerful counter punch that also heals you. And this even adds on to the healing that you're getting with the health regen of Combination Blow. Now that we've covered the fundamental core of the neutral gameplay, let's get to why it's so strong right now. Season of the Worthy has introduced some really interesting and fun Warmind and artifact mods, allowing us for some very unique combinations. Earlier I mentioned there's 2 ways you can go about this. The first build can pretty much clear anything solo, but really shines in a Fireteam. We start off with this season's artifact mod, Tyrant's Surge, which allows you to generate Warmind cells upon dealing damage with both your arc melee, super, and grenade abilities. We also see the return of Thunder Coil, which provides bonus damage for all arc melee abilities and refunds super energy on finish or final blows. One of the inherent risks of these types of up-close builds is that you can be subjected to some nasty retaliation. Fortunately, we have some defensive measures built into this build. With Warmind's protection, you take reduced damage from enemies that are now near the Warmind cells that you're generating with Tyrant's Surge. We're also running Sheltering Energy that provides you an overshield whenever you collect a Warmind cell. This works really well when resetting in between engagements or entering an engagement with that overshield. You can get a very slight boost in health and shield in a pinch, but to really make it effective, you cannot be taking damage when picking up the Warmind cell. Between Sheltering Energy and Warmind's protection, the survivability of this build dramatically goes up, and that's one of the main reasons why this build has become so strong in this current season. Lastly, we have Power of Rasputin, which provides you additional weapon damage with enemies that are nearby the Warmind cells that you're creating. And this stacks nicely with your 1-2 punch shotgun, further pushing your damage output. Now you combine all the synergies between Way of the Warrior, 1-2 punch, and these mods, and you are a force to be reckoned with, my friend. The health and overshield is constant, and you're melting anything in front of you. I'm also rocking Surge Detonators, which provides my arc grenades the ability to cause disruption, which then provides me the ability to easily take out overload champions, but also provides the ability to reduce ability regeneration and lowering combat damage output with regular enemies. As for my weapon loadout, I am running Perfect Paradox, which has Demolitionist, along with my 1-2 punch, which is fantastic because whenever I run out, I just throw a grenade and it refills my magazine while also starting the cycle up all over again by generating a Warmind cell and then rinse and repeat. As for my primary weapon, I rotate based on the encounter or the engagement that I'm in. However, I have been using Tractor Cannon as my power weapon of choice. Repulsor Force provides me the ability to suppress enemy abilities while also making them more vulnerable to incoming damage. This works great for my own cycle when I'm doing 1-2 punch, but also drastically improves the damage output from the entire fire team. Now, the secondary or alternative way that you can play this build is by being more sneaky and more defensive by using Assassin's Cowl instead of Liar's Handshake. You trade off damage output for increased survivability, but this opens up a lot of gameplay to soloing content and for doing encounters that traditionally you would need the help of a fire team by yourself. While I was filming and editing this video, I noticed that Astrocross Gaming has covered this particular variant of the build, and if you'd like to get more in-depth information on it, definitely do check out that video. In conclusion, I hope you've come to understand the power of this build. Nothing is more satisfying than having infinite ammo with my fists and doing more damage than my own super. I hope this build provides you the ability to take out your anguish and frustration on the world in the video game of Destiny 2 and not on your loved ones at home. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I sincerely appreciate it. If you found this video helpful and informative, consider dropping a like and subscribing for future content. I'm just starting out, so any form of engagement is super helpful. It would mean the world to me. Until next time, friends. Peace!